الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام الأتمان الأكملان على محمد رسول الله سيد الأولين والآخرين وإمام الأنبياء والمرسلين والشافع المشفع يوم الدين وعلى آله الطيبين وأزواجه الطاهرات أمهات المؤمنين وصحابته الغر الميامين ومن استنى بسنته واهتدى بهديه إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد، نعم, Imam Muhammad Abdul Wahab rahimahullah ta'ala said in his book Usool Al-Thalatha, نعم.
أحسن الله إليكم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. قال المصنف رحمه الله تعالى: ودليل الصلاة والزكاة وتفسير التوحيد قوله تعالى: وما أمروا إلا ليعبدوا الله مخلصين له الدين حنفاء ويقيموا الصلاة ويؤتوا الزكاة وذلك دين القيمة. The proof for the Salah, Zakah and the explanation of Tawheed is the saying of Allah: they were not commanded except that they should worship Allah alone, making their worship purely for Him, Hanifan, upon Tawheed and free from shirk, and that they should establish the Salah and pay Zakah. That is the upright religion.
يقول رحمه الله تعالى الصلاة دليل الصلاة, and he رحمه الله تعالى says, and the proof for the Salah and Zakah and tafsir of Tawheed. And he brought this ayah of Surah Al-Bayyinah: وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ حُنَفَاءَ وَيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَذَلِكَ دِينُ الْقَيِّمَةِ. This is the general ruling about these worships. Salah, we spoke about the virtue of Salah in a previous session, but we also need to know that Salah has rulings. First of all, Salah must be established upon Tawheed and Ikhlas. Salah is not accepted if the person is performing it while he is associating others with Allah in worship, as well as any other worships. And it has to be, as Allah Ta'ala said, وَاعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ وَيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ. So they were commanded, Allah Ta'ala said they were not commanded but that they should worship Allah sincerely, alone, subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَيُقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ, and to establish the 5-time prayers, the 5-time a day prayers, which are obligatory. This prayer, which is obligatory, has conditions, has pillars, and has obligations, as well as sunan and nullifiers. Every Muslim has to be aware of these things. The conditions, which are 9, there are 9 conditions for Salah. 9 conditions for Salah. These conditions are as follows. First, Islam. So, one needs to establish Salah based on Islam. As if he is not Muslim or he is Muslim but he committed an nullifier of Islam and then he prays, this prayer is not acceptable from him until he what? Until he recorrect his belief, his faith, by singling out Allah in worship. Singling out Allah in worship. And then he needs to pray. He needs to pray. As if he prays without this, then the prayer is not accepted. Like any other worship. As Allah Ta'ala said, وَقَدِمْنَا إِلَى مَا عَمِلُوا مِنْ عَمَلٍ فَجَعَلْنَاهُ هَبَاءً مَنْثُورًا. And we approach whatever deed they do of worship, and we turn it to flying dust. Why? It's worthless because it is established upon no sincerity, upon no ikhlas. And Salah is of two types, obligatory and optional. Both of them require two things: sincerity and complete submission to the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As we said, Salah has 9 conditions. What these 9 conditions? 9 conditions are, as we said, Islam, sanity, reaching age of maturity for obligation, intention, purity, facing the Qibla, what else? We said 9, Islam, we repeat, Islam, العقل والسنتي، أيوة تمييز, which is the age of understanding what the person is doing. Yani not age of maturity, because tamyiz, which is age of a child to understand what Salah is and how to be performed, that is the time when it is acceptable, not obligatory. But age of maturity, that is when Salah is mandatory, obligatory upon this person. And the purity, whether it is from minor or major impurity. And then the time of Salah. He cannot establish a prayer until the time of it is due. So if he started it a minute before the time, yani for example Dhuhr enters by the time when the objects has a shadow, and after zenith, after the sun moves from the zenith point towards the west, or towards where the sun sets. And there, when the objects have shadow in the same length of it, that is the time when Dhuhr is is due. So if he starts a minute or lesser than a minute before this time, then although he continued when the time is due, that salah is unacceptable, because takbiratul ihram, the first takbir, had been taken before the time. And same thing, delaying it until the time of it is over, that is also unacceptable. So the time, the intention must intend, by meaning distinguishing between the worships. Yani if he started intending to pray, let's say, the ratiba of dhuhr, and then while he is in that ratiba, he decided to make a dhuhr. We say no, it cannot, because each deed requires a condition of it to it, before you started. Naam. And so the intention. I'm not memorizing what we have mentioned. What we said, al-Islam wal-Aql, Tamyiz, Raf' al-Hadath, we spoke. Izalat al-Najasa, removing the impure objects from the body, the clothes, and the place where you are going to pray. Like if it is a soil and there is something impure like urine or something, you have to dissolve it. And also we said the dukhul al-waqt, the timing, and niyya. And satr al-awra. And satr al-awra, this is something we want to really give some elaboration on it, because today when people wear trousers, they do not maintain to do this condition, and by that they may lose their prayer. It may be nullified. How many of the people today, they wear tight clothes and praying in trousers? Some of al-ilm said that it is invalid, because when one goes for ruku' and sujood, it shapes his body, his back and thighs and like that. But some other ulama, they say if it is wide and the awra is covered, then it is disliked, but not it does not invalidate the prayer. But whatsoever, one needs to refrain from the area of disputation of the ulama in whether it is invalidated or not. So one should wear a long shirt that covers up to the knee, like that. But even upon the opinion of those who say it is disliked but not invalidated, yet they say if the trousers shrinks down and the shirt shrinks up, and then part of the body exposed, then the salah is nullified. Why? Because the awra isn't covered. That is in regard to men. In regard to women, she must cover herself from head to feet. Head must be covered, feet must be covered with one long wide garment, covering the arms, only exposing the hands, the palms, and the face. If there are no stranger men who are non-mahram. If there is any non-mahram who can see, like in the Kaaba, the mosque of the Kaaba, for example, or something like that, then she has even to cover her face and her hands. So this is in regard to the awrah, and it is very, very important, very important. Huh? أيوة ذكرنا استقبال. We said استقبال القبلة also I want to elaborate, which is facing the Qibla. This depends. If you are in the masjid of the Kaaba, then you have to face the Kaaba itself. And the row in the masjid of the Kaaba is round because you have to face the Kaaba. So it's round. While you are round, you have to face the Kaaba exactly, even if it is a corner of the Kaaba. But do not stand facing the person on the other side. That means you are not facing the Kaaba. And by that, Salah is invalidated. Outside the Masjid of the Kaaba in Mecca, you need to face the direction of the Masjid of the Kaaba. Outside Mecca, you need to face Mecca. Not necessarily the exact direction of the Kaaba. Because some people think that we have to use compass and like that, which is not. Because in Medina, which Medina is northwest of Mecca. Northwest of Mecca. But the Prophet ﷺ said, ما بين المشرق والمغرب قبلة. The whole area between the east and the west of Medina is Qibla. So if you direct your face to the exact south direction, then that is correct. If you go little to the east, to the west, then Medina is northeast to Mecca, little bit northeast. So if you direct to the south west, that is okay. Only south, that is okay. Southeast, that is okay, because all this area is between east and west. And same thing with other lands, not only Medina. As if someone is in Jizan, for example, which is southern Mecca, then what is between east and west in direction of north, that is Qibla. If someone is in Jeddah, then between south and north, facing east, that is Qibla. If someone is in Riyadh, then between north and south, facing west, that is Qibla. Not necessarily exact degree. And it goes wider when you go outside Saudi Arabia. For example, people in Europe, they need to direct towards their easts, regardless northeast or southeast, but it is east. And same thing when people go to east, like in Iraq, or further far, like in Russia, they need to face west. Now, so these are the conditions of Salah. Conditions must be fulfilled before one enters into Salah. طيب, if one missed one of these conditions, what can he do? It depends. Some of these conditions, once it is missed, then the whole Salah is invalidated. Like what? The intention, like purity, and time, Like facing the Kaaba, if he does his if he does his best to face the Kaaba, but at the end, after he finished, someone came and told him that you are in the opposite direction of the Kaaba, then he does not need to make that salah again. He does not need. Or if he is in the salah, in the middle of the salah, after 2 rak'at, for example, in Asr, someone came and he said, you are in the other direction of the Kaaba. So he only needs to turn to the right direction and pray. What is the proof for that? Is what happened with the Prophet ﷺ when he was leading towards Baytul Maqdis, and then the ayah came, Allah revealed the ayah to the Prophet ﷺ to direct to the Kaaba. So a Sahabi came from the Prophet's mosque and reached Quba, finding the people praying still towards the old Qibla, which is Baytul Maqdis, which is north, and the Kaaba is south to Medina. So he told them while they were praying, the Qibla is changed, the direction of Qibla is changed from Baytul Maqdis to the Kaaba, from north to south. That's a complete different direction, opposite direction. So they turned towards Kaaba, and they did not stop their prayer, did not finish it and restarted, but they continued. So if he come to know that he is on wrong direction in the middle of the salah or after he finished the salah, then in the middle of the salah he just need to correct himself without coming off the salah or without repeating what he had done towards the other direction. If it is already salah finished, then he does not need to do anything in that particular salah. Now, the removal of the impure objects from the body, the clothes, and the place. If he knew while he is in salah that there is impure object on his clothes or on his clothes, and that piece of cloth can be removed, like what happened with the Prophet ﷺ when he was leading the Sahaba in his masjid, wearing his slippers or sandals, and they all were wearing or putting their sandals on, and in the middle of the salah the Prophet ﷺ put off his sandals. So they all put off their sandals. After salah he asked them, why did you took off your shoes? They said, we saw you doing so. He said, well, Jibreel came to me and informed me that my slippers had an impure object underneath where he stepped. So, and then he said, if one of you comes to the prayer, let him to check his slippers. If he doubt, then let him to rub it on the soil, and that would be enough to purify it. And he did not command him to, even he ﷺ did not pray back what he had done while wearing or while having his shoes on with the impure object in it. So he did not, he only removed his shoes and continued his prayers. Now, now.
Well, on the slippers is an impure thing. Won't that affect the floor as well, or is it not? Matter. If you got something impure on your slippers or anything, might that affect the floor?
Affect the floor?
Yeah, as in if it comes to the floor or anything.
طبعا it will affect the floor, of course.
It doesn't matter, you still pray.
If you know, as we said, if there is any impure object on your shoes or clothes or body, or if it is on your cloth, piece of cloth, and it can be removed, like your hat or your turban, then you remove it and continue praying. But if it is on your toe, how are you going to remove? So you come off the salah, clean, and then restart from beginning. If it is on the place, on the floor, where you are praying, then you have to, if you can move from that place, right or left or front or like that, then to a clean place, then you do and continue your salah. But if you can't, then you have to come off your salah and either remove that object from that area or go another place where it is pure. Now, in regard to Satr al-Awra, Satr al-Awra, if the person had his awra exposed without knowing, but he realized while he's in salah and he could cover, then he can continue. If he knew only after, if he realized after the salah, the ulama say that he has to repeat that salah. Repeat that salah, because Satr al-Awra is a condition. Is a condition. Yes, he is not sinning because he doesn't know. But if he knows, he is sinning. And he knows he has to stop the prayer. If he cannot cover inside the prayer, then he can come off the prayer, prepare his clothing well, then he continue the prayer. Naam, wallahu a'lam. نقف هنا.
No, just one question.
No.
Will the sister have to lift the niqab when in sujood if she's in the presence of non-mahram?
Lift it. لا. If she is in the presence of non-mahram, she has to keep covering all the time. Because Aisha radiallahu anha in Hajj, she said, although the woman in Hajj who's in Ihram, Hajj or Umrah, she must not cover her face and her hands. Hands meaning from the wrist, the hand, not the arm. But Aisha radiallahu anha said that whenever we pass by Al-Rukban, meaning the other people, other men who are non-mahram, we used to drop from the head cover on the faces until they are away from us. So as long as they are seen by stranger men, they cannot remove the face cover, even in sujood, because if she removes, she still can be seen, although she's in sujood. Now, wallahu a'lam. That's it.
We'll take a 5-minute break and then we'll continue with Umdatul Ahkam, inshallah.
إن شاء الله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. وصلى الله على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وسلم.